Good morning. Oh, wow. Nice and quiet. So feel free to get up and get coffee and food during our talking. We want to be casual but attentive. Attentive is a word that I really like. So the Wi-Fi access, which is of course the most important thing for today, the Wi-Fi access is on the first page of your excuse me, of your packet. There's also a sentence there in red that if you have time and you're not discussing other important issues, you might want to talk about that particular topic. If anyone doesn't want to be photographed or in the video that's being made, please let either staff or the photographer or the videographer know that. First and foremost, before we start, Ellie, Jody, Claire, Vibba, the staff have made this happen. Thank you. I'm Virginia France, the president and CEO of the Montgomery County Foundation, Inc. Probably the best job I've ever had in my entire life, although I know Karen is here, and I did say that the senior center job before this was also the best job. I've just been really lucky. So I would like to recognize members of the Foundation's board, if they would stand. I know Marcia's here, Dr. Field is here, Dr. Booker. There should be a number of them. I don't see anybody standing. Oh, there they are. They are standing. Okay. So thank you very much. The board of directors not only contributes to make this a success financially, but they also support it wholeheartedly, which is why this can happen at all. So thank you to the board of directors. I would also like to recognize Alma Jacobs, who is the chair of the Women's Leadership Council, who is unable to be here today, and she asked that we hold her in her prayers. She had a PET scan yesterday, and so she's a little exhausted today, and was very apologetic about not being here. She's been here since the inception, and she was the first woman of distinction. On behalf of the Montgomery County Foundation Women's Leadership Council and Council Chairperson Alma Jacobs, the first female Secretary of Aging for the state of Pennsylvania, the Women's Leadership Council is a critical component in the planning process of this event, and we really appreciate their support. They're involved in the actual day today, but they're also involved in recruiting and in getting sponsorships and making sure that the room is filled. Excuse me. I would like members of the Women's Leadership Council to stand. We have a number of members. Well, how come there's never anybody? Oh, there. There are more of them. Some of them are not standing. Okay. I want to now acknowledge the sponsors. Our major gold sponsors, DeCiani Financial Group, PNC Financial Services Group, TD Bank. Silver sponsors, Haverford Trust Company, Gorski Engineering, St. Pedro and Associates Incorporated, Beneficial Bank, Bryn Mawr Trust, Marcia and Kirk Field, Gwynedd Mercy University, J. Alexander's Restaurant, PICO, PJM Interconnections, excuse me, Republic Bank, WSFS Bank. Our bronze sponsors, Abington Jefferson Health, Anexanet, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, David and Marcia Bolden, Capacity for Change, ColorCon, Dunleavy and Associates, Einstein Medical Center, Montgomery, Alma Jacobs, Lindsay Insurance Group, Posse, Penn Asian Senior Services, Penn Community Bank, the Sergio Financial Group, Univest, Whistler Pearlstein, Women to Watch, a new sponsor as well. Thank you. I always forget to bring this with me, although there are bottles, but you got to open them. Much easier to drink from a glass. Excuse me. And to our event friends, BBD LLP, BB&T Wealth, Bonus Marketing, Dr. Thurman Booker, one of our board members, Dr. Clark Bromberg, one of our board members, Commodore John Barry Arts and Culture Center, CT Business Solutions, the Donegal Association of Philadelphia, M. Eileen Doherty, Drafting by Design, Exelis, Giant Food Stores, Hamburg, Rubin, Mullen, Maxwell, Lupin, LLC, Kate Harper, Laddick, Honorado, Fetterman, LLP, Landis, Hunsberger, Gingrich, and Wheat, LLP, State Senator Dale and Leach, Montgomery County Community College, Mount St. Joseph Academy, Poppert and Company, LLC, SEI Investments, Victim Services Center, Montgomery County, WIFS, Women in Insurance and Financial Services, Philadelphia Tri-County Chapter, yay, and Women for Greater Philadelphia. Many, many thanks to all of these sponsors. The Montgomery County Foundation is a 501c3 public charity assisting donors to establish donor-advised funds, designated funds, scholarship funds, and other types of funds to achieve their philanthropic goals. The foundation manages those funds, and the fee generated from the funds go to the nonprofits in the form of grants or to causes that the foundation has identified as needing support. The funds themselves also provide grants to nonprofits. Today's program is part of our Catalyst for Community Solutions programs. The previous 4 years, and this year as well, focus on being the best we can be, being the best at encouraging and supporting others. Before we begin the program, a few words on life today. Isn't this the perfect time to have a conference? 5 years ago, we began these forums focused on the wage gap. 74%, that's what women received of the dollar, compared to every dollar a man made. For those of you who remember, we had a dynamic speaker from the Robert Morris University, Dr. Outen. She elicited great responses from the audience, enough to fuel our road forward. In years 2, 3, 4, and 5, we focused on, and will focus on, building our own capacities, abilities to lead us to be the best us there is. We discussed conflict negotiation, emotional intelligence, other topics, and so here we are at year 5, about to approach the important topic of mentorship, sponsorship, deepening our relationships, and happiness at work. All good preparation to hear from our Westchester University study of the Montgomery County that the median for annual earnings for women in Montgomery County are 75.7% of men's median, compared to the national average at 80.5%. The gap is identified in many research projects, and it's clear that not much has changed, especially for Hispanic women in Montgomery County. Their earnings are only 52% of a man's median income. These stats are meant to inform you, but also, more importantly, to inspire you to continue to work together, to fashion a vision. Leadership requires a person to have vision, to bring people together, and to leverage strengths of those people. Through all the programs for women's leadership, for whatever situation, whether negotiation, conflict resolution, career moves, just about anything you want to be successful at, you must have a willingness to prepare, high expectations, because generally people who have high expectations get more. Have the patience to listen. Some of the most important information can be found in listening. A commitment to personal integrity. Keep promises. Do not raise hopes that have no intention or ability to be fulfilled. Today's program will add to your toolbox to attack whatever vision you wish to achieve. Never stop learning, expand your view. In the audience are a number of people that have made a huge impact in my life. And I'm going to say this, and I know that there are more than just these people here who have made a huge impact in my life, because you have all made a definite mark. But Cindy DeCiani, who is soon to be the chair of our board of directors for the foundation, because she's clear-thinking, smart, able to speak her mind, thoughtful, and willing to take risks. Alma Jacobs, a mentor for years, especially when she was Secretary of Aging, creative, able to speak her mind, astute, and politically savvy. Eileen Doherty, positive, thoughtful, excuse me, with an incredible sense of humor and caring. Linda LeVay, resilient, caring, and a great salesperson. Mary Ann Lynch, Habitat for Humanity, an example of skill, diligence, and determination, and so many more. The message going forward is to remind the person sitting next to you, or even yourself, who needs a periodic lift, not to be in the story of how it has been, but how it is now, to build the habit of freedom and the courage to act, to honor the inner light in every person. Each of us has gifts to share and a voice to be heard. Honor the importance of community, which means seeking collaboration, acting with the spirit of inclusion, welcoming of diversity. Recognize and appreciate each person for who they are at this very moment. Respect the journey that has brought you to this place and to this uniqueness. Honor the courage to be open to learning and change. Be willing to try something new and risk failure. Honor the truth and importance of giving and of earning trust. We are accountable for our responsibilities and actions and for the gifts in our care. It has been an extraordinary year, and I use the word extraordinary in all its meaning because we are in uncharted territories right now. Today, we celebrate the women in the audience who have made phenomenal contributions, the young women in the audience who will make phenomenal contributions, and so many people in this room give not only to the success of women, but to the arts, to the culture, to human rights, to human services. Celebrate all of what makes us us. Thank you. So now I'm relieved that I got that done. So now I have to remember that I'm supposed to introduce Jocelyn. Excuse me. Jocelyn is the founder and managing partner of the Ascension Group and a member of the Women's Leadership Council. And Jocelyn has been with us for a number of years. Her years of service have meant that we've been able to have a beautiful, visible presence in the financial world as well as in the nonprofit world. We are grateful to you for your years of service.
Thank you, Virginia, and good morning and welcome to you all for this year's Women's Leadership Forum, Creating Intentional Professional Relationships. I have the honor of introducing our first speaker today, Raquel. And she will be talking about mentors and sponsors, developing your personal advisory board. Each of you have everyone's bio in your packet, so I'm not going to read everything word for word. I talked to her initially and said, is there anything that you want me to point out? And she said, I'd like my presentation to speak for itself. But I will say, She's very well accomplished. She's the Associate Director for Outreach and Engagement and Professional Development for Drexel University's LeBeau School of Business, Office of Graduate Career Services. In reading her bio, there were several things that jumped out to me that I think are important. So aside from her professional accomplishments, she had her own coaching business, and one of the things that she did, she partnered with Urban Promise, an organization in Camden, New Jersey, which provides children and youth young adults, skills necessary for academic achievement and life management. She also is a mother and wife, and she is dedicated to issues that impact diversity, women, and wellness. And with that, in her spare time, she teaches yoga at Drexel as part of their group exercise programs, and she has even trained their men's soccer and basketball team. So I'm sure that was something to see, men in doing their downward dog poses. Her educational background includes a BA in psychology from George Mason University, a master's in higher education from Rowan University. She has a professional and human resource certification, and as I said before, she is a registered yoga teacher. So with that, I would like to introduce our first speaker for this morning, Raquel Arredondo.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies. How are you all? You all look lovely, awake. I've been up since 5 a.m. I was sharing with Claire and Vibba that I arrived yesterday. I live in South Jersey, just a little over an hour away, and as my husband and I were running out the door yesterday morning, and well, I have this and I have that, and we looked at each other and looked at our son and realized neither one of us were going to be home last night, and he was going to be left alone. The plight of the working family. Rest assured, he did not stay home alone. This is where I enlisted my network and was able to find a place for him to stay. So I am very excited to be here this morning to speak with you all regarding mentors and sponsors. This is something that is very dear to me, and I kind of came across this practice, this philosophy, this strategy in a roundabout way, which I will share with you all. I also wanted to, before I forget, let you know that my presentation will be made available to you all tomorrow. It will be emailed, I believe. And also, I believe in my presentation style is very discussion-oriented, conversational. So towards the end of my presentation, we'll have a microphone in the middle of the room. So if you have any questions or if anything that I share with you is not clear, I invite you to ask those questions to me. I want this to be beneficial for you all. So let me turn this on. There you go. Thank you. So everyone that knows me, or anyone that knows me, knows that I am passionate about three things. Those being women's empowerment issues, issues regarding diversity and inclusion, and my absolute most important area that I value, that is important to me, llamas. I love llamas. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're kind of odd looking and a lot of hair, kind of aloof, kind of like me. But if you get them mad, they're going to spit. But seriously, as I mentioned, the topic of mentors and sponsorship are very important to me, very dear to me. I am a first-generation Cuban American. My parents were immigrants. Growing up, I admired and watched, living in Brooklyn, my father leaving for work every morning, throwing his hat on, going to the Empire State Building, not really knowing what it was that he was doing, but he was doing something awesome, something great, and I wanted to be just like my father. And then there was my mother. Both of these pictures, by the way, are me. They're not my parents. And my mother was a beautician in Manhattan, and I thought that was such a glamorous life, and she would head off to work and work with Joan Collins and different folks that were coming into Manhattan for events. And so those were my role models growing up. And growing up as a first generation, as an immigrant, my parents believed in raising my sister and I to be hardworking, get good grades, keep your head down, do all of those things that are American: piano lessons, horseback riding lessons, ballet lessons, swimming, you name it. We were just gonna fulfill the American dream and be just like the Johnsons who live across the street. So I did that. And I went to college. And I went to grad school. And then I went to work. Then I got married. Then I had children. Then I became a working mom. We all know what that's like. I joined the PTA. I was on the school board. I joined the community groups. I became a soccer mom. I became a football mom. I went to all of those stupid parties. Pampered Chef, Southern Living, Arbonne, you name it. I went to all of those parties because that's what you're supposed to do. Go to these parties and spend money that you don't have. I managed the family finances. I managed all of the family activities. I was doing exactly what I was told to do, the way I was raised, to do all of these things, be perfect at it, don't complain, juggle everything, do it all, do it well, keep a smile on your face, make everyone happy. And then life pressed pause. So about 10 years ago, on the eve of my 40th birthday, so now you all know how old I am. I know you all thought that I was 26. No longer 26. Actually, here's a tip, ladies. So when people ask me my age, I add 10 years, so I let everyone know I'm 60. And they look at me, they're like, damn, she looks good. See, everyone's had it all wrong all these years. Oh, I'm 35. No, you're not. I'm 60. So on the eve of my 40th birthday, the universe pressed pause on my life, and I was hospitalized for about 6 weeks. My organs were shutting down. The doctors had feared that I'd gone into cardiac arrest. And all this great stuff was happening, you know, the testing, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that, and blah, 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 blah. And before I was released from the hospital, my doctor came to me and sat down, and he just looked at me and said, "What is going on?" And in that moment, I just lost it. It was as if, for the first time, I was being given permission to just let it go, that it was okay. I did not have to be all of these people. I did not have to be perfect. I did not have to juggle everything. And we chatted, and he provided me with some advice. I think the most impactful part of that conversation was when he turned to my husband and he said, "What are you doing to her?" I thought, thank you, finally. So I took that pause for a year, and I really didn't say I'm gonna take a year, it just kind of transpired that way. And I reflected. I reflected on the decisions that I had made. I reflected on my way of thinking. I reflected on my relationships. I reflected on the roles that I thought that I had to fulfill, the persona that I had to fulfill. And I began reevaluating things. I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of yoga, which, now you know, clearly I can't just be the student, I have to become the instructor. That's just kind of how I think. I put myself in these positions. But there was one book in particular that meant a lot to me and really opened my eyes to the changes that I needed to make and kind of gave me the permission to make those changes. And that was, if you're familiar with Brené Brown, how many of you are familiar with Brené? Okay, wonderful. So one of her first books, The Gift of Imperfection, letting go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. And in reading that book and reading similar books to that, I realized that it was okay to be authentic. It was okay to be real. And it was okay for me to ask for help. And that was something that I just never, it was never explained to me. No one ever shared with me that you can, have that circle around you. Sure, I had great friends and I had a network of individuals, but it was almost in a very superficial sense. Oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna go have lunch, we're gonna go take a yoga class together, we're going to go to this meeting, and we're gonna do that and the other. But it was not really, I never felt as if I could be my authentic self. And where that really presented itself was in my work life. I would go into work early, stay late. I was very dedicated to not sharing anything personal about me in my work and in my business. Not many people knew that I had 2 boys. Not many people knew about my background as being a first-generation Cuban American. I just went in, I did the job, I kept my head down and expected things to happen. And that was part of this dilemma in me. That was part of that whole breakdown was I was one person in the house and another person publicly, whether it was at work or with friends. And in reading this book, it made me realize that there is no right person. The right person is who you are authentically to yourself. And so the more I began to realize that, and the more I dared to share that, the deeper relationships became, and the more I began to connect with people that were like me, and to connect with opportunities that spoke to me. And so this quote kind of exemplifies exactly what it is that I'm sharing with you and the path that I took. Daring greatly means the courage to be vulnerable. It means to show up and be seen, to ask for what you need, to talk about how you're feeling, and to have the hard conversations. This was profound to me. When I read that, I thought, oh my gosh, that's like exposing yourself. This is letting everyone know, yeah, I can't bake. I bought those cupcakes and brought it to the PTA. I hate play dates. I like my kids, I don't like anyone else's kids. Honestly. Sometimes, well, now it's changed. Now I think I like other people's children more than I like my kids. I've got one in college and one in high school. Oh. My son, who said they'll come back? My son yesterday sent me a text, a picture of what he wants for Christmas. He's a freshman in college. It was a picture of a Christmas tree with cases of beer underneath it. Said, hey, we're cool, and I want you to have, open dialogue with me, but that's not gonna happen. You're gonna get socks and toothpaste and underwear. So, what I really drew from this and what was beginning to happen to me professionally was I was beginning to connect with people that saw in me, that really appreciated the words that I was sharing. They appreciated my vision. They appreciated my career path. That was professionally. Personally, I began to weed out the people. You know how you go to a party and you're talking with someone, you're like, I don't know what to say next. I gave myself permission to walk away from those people. Hey, it was great meeting you. You have to do that. And it was this epiphany that, I don't have to like everyone. Not everyone has to like me, but there are people in your network, and there are people out there. There are people in this room that you're going to connect with today. And at some level, there's something that's going to resonate with you, and that means something. And pay attention to that. Pay attention to that conversation that you're having, or just pay attention to the way in which, I talk about vibe a lot. You catch someone's vibe, and there's a reason for that. Here's the yoga in me coming out. The universe is speaking to you. And so little by little, I started to develop my CAB. And we kind of started this off talking about your personal advisory board. I created my career advisory board. We're all here to learn about our professional development. And there's a book, Good People, Alexander Tijan. He writes about the 5 mentors that you need to have in your life. And again, I kind of stumbled on all of this, and after reading his book, I was like, yeah, that's this person, that's that person. So the first mentor is your Jedi Master. This is that individual who, either professionally or personally, this is that person that you aspire to be, aspire to become. You just admire them. They are the leader in that industry. So always good to have a mentor in your circle that you just think, wow, this person is going places. I really want to hitch my wagon to them. That next person, that next mentor that you should have in your CAB or in your circle should be your champion. This is that individual, that girlfriend, that, male or female, well, not a male girlfriend, that would be a boyfriend, but either a male or a female in your life that really champions your cause, that promotes what you're doing, that talks you up, that makes you feel good about what it is you're doing. My champion, first thing this morning, I receive a text, go kill it this morning, have a great time, have fun with it. And then there is the co-pilot. This might be someone that you work with that, if they're not in the office that day, it's just not a great day. You can go to this person with, can you believe that so-and-so did this, and blah, 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 blah. And you just kind of have that bond. You're on that same path together. And then there's the anchor in your network. And this is the individual who is going to kind of, pull you back in. I definitely have a couple of anchors. I tend to, and then we can do this, and then we'll rent a bus, and then we'll go to Costa Rica. And then, the anchors are like, all right, let's think this through. Gotta have the anchor. That was 4, right? 5 is the reverse mentor. And I'm fortunate in my role at the university, I have a number of mentees. And even, professionally, when I'm networking and I meet people, I've had people come up to me, ask if I would mentor them. And, you think that it's all about you sharing, this is my experience. Let me, share with you how to be a great person like me. But oftentimes I leave those conversations learning something from them. And so that is so valuable to stay connected to another generation, to hear, what's important to them, what struggles that they're having, because that only helps you grow as a professional and as an individual yourself. So those are the 5 that Tijan mentions in his book, but I added a 6th person to my CAB, a 6th person to my advisory board, and this is Jesus, and not in the biblical sense, so I'm not going there, don't worry. This is my come to Jesus friend. This is my friend who, there are times where I have sat there across from her at a restaurant and think, wow, she really said that to me. Wow. I mean, she just gets right to the point. And she will, give me that view, that maybe that honesty that a lot of people may fear saying to you or having those conversations. And, at first I thought, I need to reevaluate this. I don't know if I want this person in my network. She kind of makes me feel bad. But what I realized was she was challenging me, and she was challenging my thoughts, and that she was doing that because she loves me, and because she sees potential in me, and because she wants to see me excel. And so when we have these conversations, and trust me, I push back when I feel, you're looking at it the wrong way, or this is what I think, and we probably argue more than we have fun together, although she did take me to see Michelle Obama last week. So she's all right. We made up. But I believe, having a person in your life that kind of has those come to Jesus conversations with you, that's pretty important. Because you can have a lot of cheerleaders, you can have a lot of individuals that are, sure, that sounds great, go ahead and do that. Or, yeah, when I did that, this is how I did it, blah, 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 blah. But to have someone that is going to say, nope, you're looking at it all wrong. You got to look at it this way. Have you considered this? Think this through. this is not the strategy that you want to take. That there's a lot of value to that. So in developing this CAB, clearly there are the folks that have become mentors to me. And then there were folks that kind of rose to the top and have become sponsors. And you're hearing a lot in media and books, and Virginia was sharing with me that that's been a topic of conversation recently. What is the difference between a mentor and a sponsor? How do I get a sponsor? So I wanted to break this down a little bit further for you and show you those differences. So a mentor, someone who shares information about his or her career path, as well as provide knowledge, resources, guidance, motivation, emotional support, role modeling with their mentee. So this is an individual that may really not have any stake in your career. They have the experience. They can guide you through. They provide you with some, additional networking opportunities. All in all, this is an individual that advises you. That's your mentor. And that's, something that we're pretty familiar with. Most organizations have a mentorship program. Schools have, the buddy system, a mentoring program. Very familiar with that. On the contrary, with sponsors, this is typically a senior level professional. Someone that is invested in you. So they are looking at you, they are looking at your career, they are looking at your contributions, and they are making the decision that I want to invest in this person. I see a great deal of potential, and I want to help them out. They become an advocate for you. So what is so important about having both mentors and specifically adding sponsors into your life? And for women, and then specifically for me as a minority, a double minority. Yeah. Traditionally with men, they have the good old boy network. They have the country club. They go golfing. So many men have risen to roles within organizations because of their connections, because they've had someone say, well, Jim, he's really excellent. I had played golf with him last week, and I'd love to see him take on this position, so on and so forth. That's traditionally and historically how so many men have risen to board positions, have risen to C-suite positions. And as we all know, I believe the number is less than 5% of women hold these C-suite positions, and so we don't have these same types of opportunities. Early on in my career, I decided I was going to learn how to play golf. I suck at golf. I'm really, really bad at golf. I wear a mean golf outfit. I look good out there doing horribly. But I learned that if I was going to be successful, I was going to have to surround myself with these individuals who are making these decisions, who are connected with high-level individuals. And that's kind of how organically it started to happen. A mentor can guide you to the right doors. A sponsor is going to open up those doors and knock them down. I have found that in my career, it is those relationships with sponsors that have given me access to individuals, that have given me access to programs, events, opportunities that I would have never gained access to just by working hard, keeping my head down, doing the right thing, and associating with people within my network. And so this was really valuable for me, and it's something that I believe that women in leadership positions should consider this as well. If you are in a leadership role, it is our responsibility to knock those doors down for the next generation. It's our responsibility to pull up another seat at that table and say, I've been working with this person, I see a lot of potential, and I really feel that this group, this organization would benefit from having her voice at the table. And it is those conversations that women need to have more and more in order to populate that boardroom table with more women, in order to see more equality in pay, equality in general with its opportunities for projects, those opportunities to excel and to be seen and to be visible. Without a sponsor, and here's some statistics to be aware of. 43% of men, 36% of women will ask for a stretch assignment. Stretch assignment being a long-term project. 67% of men, 70% of women will not ask for a raise. Now, conversely, with a sponsor, 56% of men and 44% of women will ask for a stretch assignment. So having that advocate, somebody that internally knows your value and knows what you can bring to the table, will advocate for you and will tell you, no, go to the CFO, go to the director. This is how you need to present it to this person. You tell that individual, I think I can add value to this project. This is my experience, this is my background, this is what I see can happen. Without having that individual in your corner to back you up and to share that, you lack that confidence to be able to have that conversation. You kind of talk, you know, women do this all the time. We talk ourselves out of these difficult conversations. I was reading, I'm sure many of you have read this as well, when a man looks at a job description and sees all of the requirements for that job description, they will say, well, yeah, I have this and I don't have that, but you know what, I can do it, I'm gonna go for it. Whereas a woman will be like, well, I have Excel experience, I don't have PowerPoint experience, I have this, I don't have that, yeah, I probably shouldn't apply. When in your heart, you know, I can take that job and I can transform this and I will rock this world. But women have this tendency to talk ourselves out of it. It's that perfection thing that's ingrained in us from when we're little to, keep your head down, work hard, be perfect, juggle everything, smile on your face, bake cookies. So that sponsor effect, having that individual in your corner that is going to help you out and advise you, this is how you go about this. This is who you need to meet. Let me introduce you at this next event. I'm going to bring you along, and that way you can meet this individual so that you can have that conversation next week. That's how that transforms. Nearly half of men and 38% of women will ask or will negotiate a raise. How fun is that? How fun is it going into office to say, I really believe that I'm underpaid and this is, I'd like to discuss this. How many of you have done that? A couple. I commend you. I commend you. That is a tough conversation to have for most individuals. What is my value? Well, they let me leave early on Wednesday so I can go to my son's soccer game, so I really shouldn't complain. Yeah, everyone's yep, that. And I've been guilty of that as well. I'm not going to rock the boat. I have a great gig here. They let me come and go as I please. And then I have a conversation with my sponsor who says, you should be making $50,000 more than what you're making. What? But I leave early to go to my son's soccer game. Interesting to point out. Isn't it interesting that a woman, when they leave early for a sickness, game, this, that, or the other, they're seen as not committed to their job, but a man leaves early for a soccer game or my child's sick and it's, oh, what a great dad. What an awesome dad. It's true. When my boys were younger, that's why I always made my husband leave work. No, it's better for you. You go. But he's sick. So, take him to a doctor. Well, what do I do? I don't know. You're Mr. Smarty Pants. That's a whole other conversation. So, how do you get these sponsors? Mentoring, that's pretty easy. We're familiar with how to gain a mentor. Sponsor, very different. With a sponsor, you don't go up to someone and say, hey, will you sponsor me? That does not happen. With sponsorship, you have to earn that relationship. You have to demonstrate that you are someone that this individual can take a risk and take a chance by supporting you and advocating on your behalf. And so in order to do that, you have to demonstrate that you are a high performer. You have to come in and take on those challenges. You need to work hard. You need to demonstrate that you have a greater vision than just getting this done and going home for the day. When those big projects are presented, when in a meeting or in a conversation it's presented, we have this issue, we have this dilemma, what can we do? Rather than kind of looking around the table, like, who's going to tackle that? Speak up. Demonstrate that you're thinking broad. Demonstrate that you have value, that you have thoughts that are going to help the organization. You want to prove your worth. You want to have the ability to deliver excellent results. Your work speaks for you. And when you leave that room, you want your work, you want your words to be what people remember. So take great pride in all of that. And for me, the most important is make your value visible. If you are doing all the right stuff and working hard and doing this with your head down and in your office, no one is going to pay attention to that. They're just going to say that, yeah, Raquel's great. She does what she's told to do. She doesn't rock the boat. And this is where, I challenge individuals, and it is a challenge because, again, we're all taught, you don't talk about yourself and you don't want to seem as a braggart and so on and so forth, but we have to advocate on our own behalf. We need to share, whether it's on LinkedIn or, other social media, some of the great things that we're doing. Find ways to, while networking, while talking to people, to share some of your thoughts, some of the things that you're doing. This is the only way in which people are going to learn about you. This is the only way in which you're going to increase your visibility within an organization. And there are ways to say, in a general conversation, I was just working on a project with this, I volunteer with this organization, and this was the dilemma, and I did this. And now, the message that I'm sharing with this leader in my organization is, I'm thinking of a greater good. I am working with an organization, community service, civic duty is important to me. By sharing these things with individuals, by sharing who you are and what's important, it begins to resonate with other people. I always tell folks, students that I work with, or when I often give networking workshops, it's not effective to go to a networking event or to go to an event like this and have these superficial conversations with individuals. Hi, I'm so-and-so, where do you work? Da-da-da-da-da. That's all fine, but in order to create a valuable relationship, a meaningful relationship, this is where you need to realize that, we're all people. We're all woke up this morning and wanted to go back to bed. Anyone that woke up and jumped up like, yay? No, okay, all right. How many people hit snooze like 5 times? We all have challenges. Me sharing with you all about, my illness and my sons, these very personal things. 10, 15 years ago, I would have never shared any of that. That's not professional. I need to be, very professional and share the facts, and this is how you do it, this is the strategy, and so on and so forth. But what I've learned is that by sharing my vulnerabilities, by sharing my vulnerabilities, by sharing with audiences the daily struggles and the funny stories and all of that stuff, that's what resonates with individuals. That's where you can relate. And so in networking, and again, I challenge you today while you're sitting at your tables and having discussions, break out of your comfort zone. And if you see someone that, looks interesting, looks familiar, have that conversation with them. And demonstrate how shallow I am. Usually the conversation with me starts with, I love those shoes. So funny story. Did you all see Jocelyn's shoes, right? So I'm involved with the Pennsylvania Conference for Women, and the evening before the conference, I was at an event. I sat on a panel this year, and I happened to have been wearing a red dress and leopard shoes. So here I am at the event, and I'm standing there. I just got there. I was having my drink and my cube of cheese. Can't have an event without a cube of cheese. And I see this woman across the room who's wearing a leopard print coat, flowy kind of coat. And she just looked on. She's fabulous. Next thing I know, she walks over to me. She goes, I gotta meet you, just like that. She was from Brooklyn. I gotta meet you. Okay. You got leopard shoes, I got a leopard coat. So I guess we're cool. I'm like, we're cool. Next thing you know, we're hugging, we're cool. Who knew? This happened so quickly. Normally it takes me 20 minutes to warm up a room. So we start talking and find out that she's on the panel with me. No idea who this woman was 5 minutes earlier, but leopard print shoes brought us together. That right there tells you you never know. You gotta go beyond that, I work at Deloitte, I do this. You have to go beyond that and really connect with people and share with them who you are and what's important to you. And not everyone is going to value that, and not all of that is going to resonate, but I guarantee you that with the individuals that it does resonate with, it's going to be impactful and it's going to move you places. Those relationships, again, the yoga thing, the universe brings people into your world for a reason. And it's up to you to figure out, is this person here to provide me in this moment some information, or is this person somebody that I can see myself growing with, or I can add value to them? Because it is a mutually beneficial relationship. You can't just expect to glean from someone else. You also have to, share and provide guidance to other folks as well. But pay attention to those individuals. Pay attention to the words that they're saying, the things that they're doing, and you'll feel that. You'll see, who resonates, what resonates with you. That's telling you something. You hear about, your gut. Trust your gut. That's your gut. That's your gut. So, as you are working towards being this person that a sponsor will want to connect with and identify with. In the same token, look within your organization or outside your organization, whatever it is that you do. When I started my role at Drexel, there were a couple of people that, I just thought, wow, this person is just on fire, just a great individual, really going places. And within my network, or my group of sponsors, I have a number of sponsors. The 2+1 rule. Ideally, 3 sponsors, 2 within your network, 1 outside of your network. I have 2 within, or not network, place of employment. 2 within your place of employment, 1 outside of your place of employment. So it was important for me to have a male sponsor. Very easy to have a female sponsor, that easy bond, but it was very important for me to have a male sponsor because I wanted to make sure that the conversations that I was having and that my career professional development, that I wasn't looking at it from a completely feminist lens. And many times when I have to have a difficult conversation within work, I will go to my male sponsor and say, this is the issue, this is how I'm thinking about approaching it. And he will break that down for me and take the emotion out of it. Emotion has nothing to do with it. This is how you want to present it. You want to present it have a strategy. Go into that meeting with an outline of what you want to accomplish. And without having that guidance, I probably would walk into a meeting and I said I'm Cuban, I have a temper. I probably would start, well, this is what I saw and blah, 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 and not very tactful. And so for me, I feel as if I need to have that little buzz in my ear giving me a different perspective on how to approach things. My other sponsor, internal, female. And when I began working at the university, she's a dean of one of the colleges. I had listened to her speak, and I just loved her style. I was so impressed with the fact that here's this woman at this high level, all of these accomplishments and certifications and accreditations, this, that, or the other, and she had on the best Kate Spade shoes. And she was real. She was genuine. And again, going back to this persona of, being perfect and not demonstrating any flaws, here was this woman who was giving a presentation who she was laughing and joking, but she knew her stuff. And I thought, wow, you can be authentic and smart and intelligent and impactful. And I never really saw those role models. Again, growing up first generation, my parents were more concerned with assimilating themselves and for my sister and I to assimilate. I was the first female in the family to go to college. I didn't have anyone that was, that I could go to, or I didn't have a role model that I could speak to. It was really on me, so I needed to find these external individuals, these mentors, and then these sponsors. So to go back to the dean, I don't know this woman at all, and I'm thinking I need to have her in my corner. So I reach out to her assistant and ask, I'd just like to meet her, introduce myself, 15 minutes. And we met for an hour. And my gut was right. 15 minutes turned into 60 minutes, and we talked about careers, and we talked about kids, and we talked about divorce, and we talked about shoes. And we had this connection that it's inexplainable. And by the end of that conversation, I said to her, what do I need to do to come work for you? You are amazing, and I definitely want to be part of what it is that you're doing here. And that has opened up a number of opportunities for me. And I can't share enough of just how amazing this woman is. But she's also seen, Raquel's doing this, and she's doing the other, and she's somebody that I do want on my team, and I want to have her do this. So again, it's that mutual relationship. You can't just expect that you find a sponsor or find a mentor and they're just going to give. You have to also demonstrate that you're going to add value to their bottom line and make them look good as well. And so through all of this, this is tough. This is breaking out of your comfort zone. Again, Michelle Obama last week. Did anyone in this room see her? Amazing. Wasn't she great? Again, she's another individual, tough, strong, intelligent, but she was real. You sat there and was like, let's go get drinks afterwards. Not gonna happen. That great red outfit. That was my inspiration. I couldn't find a red suit, a red dress. So what she said was failure is an important part of your growth and developing resilience. Don't be afraid to fail. John Maxwell, writer, a lot of leadership books, he also writes, fail early, fail often, but always fail forward. And I challenge you to get comfortable with failure. I challenge you with taking a step back and looking at your career, your professional development. Where do you need to go? Who are some of those individuals that are going to help you get there? And start, I almost said exposing yourself. Please don't expose yourself. It's going to be a huge career misstep, and I want nothing to be part of that at all. Bring your authentic self to the table. Have those genuine conversations. And you know what? It's not always going to work, but when it works, it's good. It's really good. And you only need one person to believe in you. You only need one person in your corner that is going to push you forward and provide you with opportunities. But go out there, fill up that cab, fill up your advisory board with these people that are going to make you feel great, people that are going to open you up to great experiences, great opportunities, and individuals that are going to champion your causes, whatever that might be. So we have a few minutes. Microphone is set up there. I invite you to please fire away. And if you don't want to use the microphone, you can just stand up or raise your hand. Yes? Absolutely. Maybe I can't. That's a great question. That's a great question. The question was, why do I feel, and looking at the numbers with regards to asking for a raise, 67% of men, 70% of women will not, whereas with a sponsor, nearly half of men and only 38%. So it's still a pretty low number of women. That's a great question. I really haven't researched that further. I can surmise that a lot of it has to do that it's still a very uncomfortable conversation to have. We tend to fall into our comfort zone. I can surmise that it may have something to do with, again, not having as many females in executive positions that really are advocating on your behalf, and that's why that number is lower in general. Anyone else have an answer to that? I'm sorry, I couldn't provide you more detail, but it is telling. Yes?
I think part of it may be that women are afraid they'll be fired if they actually.
Yeah.
A lot more women, I think, are dependent on the income, and I don't want to keep them.
Right. Yeah. That could very well be it. Women are not risk takers. No. We are just. Did you have a question? Oh, you were agreeing.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Women just in general are not risk takers. And that's where that value of having a sponsor, somebody that's, I've already teed up this ball. Go ahead. Look, golf terminology. I've teed it up. Go ahead. Keep your eye. Keep your head down. I'm always screwing it up. And swing. Follow through. That was always my big thing. I never follow through. What other questions? Yes?
Do you give your cab term limits? And if you do, what are the drivers of that?
So with mentors, they really could be, for a reason, for a season. No, I don't give term limits. There are individuals that I probably don't lean on as much as I had in the past. Certain folks for that moment, for that opportunity, for whatever it was I was going through, that was the person that was really critical for me to have in my corner. It cycles in and out. That doesn't mean that, you're fired, I never want to speak to you again. It's just that during that time, I may have spent more time with that individual. And then, as you develop professionally, and new folks are going to cycle in. As you network, as you grow your network, new individuals are going to cycle in. But I can't say that I have, a list, these are all of my mentors. I could identify individuals that throughout my career have made an impact because they took the time to listen to me and to provide advice. You're welcome. Yes?
My question is about family in business. I was one of 4 children. I have an older sister and a younger sister, both homemakers. My mother was a homemaker, and so I went to college. It was about career. I traveled, and I seem sort of the black sheep of
Oh, I'm the black sheep too.
I didn't know if that was middle syndrome or whatever, but here are women, here's, my care in my family was about love versus business and wanting to grow. And I just wondered if other people in the room had that experience. They almost became, I was different, I was almost bad and wrong for doing what I wanted to do. And where you think that you're being the most supportive love, it was not that way. So I really had to keep working on finding those sponsors and mentors to help me grow. Yep. And I'm just wondering if anyone else had that.
It's so amazing that you brought that up, because this morning as I was going over my notes, I thought of sharing that as well. And I thought, you know what, maybe I won't. Let me just stick to what I have presented. So same thing. My mother, after, I think it was when I was 2, very Cuban, my father ripped up her beauty license and said, no wife of mine, no mother of my children is going to work any longer. Stay-at-home mom. However, the charge was, you and your sister are going to go to college, you're going to get an education, blah, 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 blah. Once I had my son, my eldest son, it was, you're not going back to work. And that was, in general, not my husband, but my father, my mother. I mean, I had to. That was the only way that we were going to survive. And that was part of me. I couldn't realize, I couldn't grasp, wait a minute, for all these years you've been pushing me forward to be great and to have a career and this and the other, and now stop because of this baby? Maybe that's why he and I don't get along well. I should probably get a therapist. And I really struggled with that. And black sheep, and comments were made about, well, if you were home, and it felt really bad. My sister, she's a stay-at-home mom. She has 3 children, and, well, Nancy, da-da-da-da-da. And while I was achieving things, who do you call when you get the promotion? Who do you call when you call your parents? That's nice. So how's Matthew? And it's crushing. It is crushing. And so for me, that is exactly why it was so important to develop my CAP, to develop the group of mentors and sponsors, to be able to, and it took me a while to accept that without being angry at my mother or angry at my sister. There were some angry years there where I resented the fact that I didn't have, that support innately within my family. But I learned, that everyone's just doing the best that they can and coming from things with, their own mindset. And I shouldn't depend on the affirmation of others to make me feel proud about the work that I'm doing. I know that what I'm doing is meaningful and it's important to me and it makes me happy. But it was critical to have that group of women and men that were supporting me and that were saying, that's awesome. That's a great thing that you just did. And especially, the support of my husband, which he probably would drop dead if he heard me say that. He always, there was never a question. He knew this is who I married. This person is going for it and I cannot get in her way. The night before we got married, I had a nervous breakdown because I didn't want to change my last name. His last name is Pattison, like Pattison Ave. So I don't want to be a Pattison. I'm an Arredondo. Everything I've accomplished is Arredondo. Pattison didn't go to grad school. Pattison didn't do this and the other. Arredondo did. And I think he knew at that point, whatever you want, you can change your name to Matilda. I don't care. Just show up tomorrow. And he'll tell you that today. Just stay out of her way. Just stay out of her way. I think that's a common thing. I mean, are there any other women that can relate to? Yeah. Yes, absolutely. We have a few minutes, right?
I wanted to also say, there's sometimes you just have to tell yourself that you're doing a great job. You become the one to affirm you. And I need everybody to do this. Take both your hands, put them on your back. Everybody. Say G-O-O-D.
O-O-D. J-O-B. Good job. Thank you. I think that's an excellent way to end this. I see that my time is running up. I want to thank you all so much for your attention, for the dialogue. As I mentioned earlier, this presentation will be shared with you all tomorrow. I will be here for, I think, through lunch. I probably at some point have to go back to the office. But it's been a great pleasure. Thank you.